But let's finish talking about needs here from a different perspective. And I hope that this is a holy crap moment for everybody here. The needs are based in something called a neuropeptide and a neuropeptide receptor on a cell. This scientific drawing here that I did on the right, highly detailed drawing of a cell, has these little V icons here that I've placed on here, but they're actually all over a cell. And those are called neuropeptide receptor sites, if you're labeling this. And the little DNA strand up there is a neuropeptide. It kind of looks like a little twisted up paper clip. And there's all kinds of neuropeptides. So we have these that are manufactured inside of our brain in the hypothalamus, which is just inside of your ear. And there's all kinds of neuropeptides, but just for simplicity's sake, I'm not going to turn this into a microbiology class. But for simplicity's sake, I'd like you just to imagine for a moment that each one of the neuropeptides is associated with one of the human needs. We got it. So let's say that somebody is a pity-seeking person. They just seek pity from others. What they want is like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened to you. I'm so sorry. That's horrible. That's awful. I can't even imagine. All of those statements for a pity person. So over time, let's say that this receptor can only receive pity, and this is real in microbiology. These receptor sites on our cells can only receive certain types of neuropeptides. So let's say this one up top here is a pity receptor site for neuropeptides. So every time that person gets some kind of validation, the hypothalamus manufactures 500 million of these little neuropeptides. They're flooding the brain. It's more than you could fit into a syringe, just about. So they get some kind of validation. But this one down here is an intelligence neuropeptide receptor. That person doesn't have a strong need to feel intelligent. So the intelligence chemicals, the intelligence neuropeptides, don't get secreted very often. So once this receptor site down here doesn't get very much attention, it realizes, hey, this one that's a pity receptor is getting a lot more attention. So stay with me on this. If the intelligence neuropeptide receptor, the one down at the bottom, starts getting really lonely and it's not getting any neuropeptides coming down there and docking into it, and the cell literally does grab onto it and it twists just a little bit and locks that little protein down into the cell. It's all neuropeptides are proteins. So if that one down at the bottom there, the intelligence one, doesn't get much business, it commits suicide and recreates itself as a pity neuropeptide receptor. Just to illustrate to you how much of a big effing deal this really is, over time, that person's cells, if they continuously seek out this pity-seeking behavior, I continuously seek out acceptance behavior with groups, my cells are literally covered in the receptors for my needs. So let's go back really quick. What's the first thing that we've talked about with pity? We want to tell them, no, it's not a big deal. Feel more gratitude, be more grateful for your life. Or we want to tell them to shut up. But the moment that we say, holy crap, that's awful, it's really bad, we're flooding their body with chemicals. And what's the first thing we do to a person who's addicted to heroin? We give them artificial heroin. We give them methadone. Or sometimes they give them actual heroin in a hospital. And if you don't do that, they can actually die. If you take an alcoholic off of alcohol, they can die. This is a big deal. So we need to give people what they need to feel. And the moment we do, we are manufacturing 500 million chemicals with our voice. Like I said in the beginning, everything with persuasion and influence or hypnosis or therapy or car sales or science, if you're recruiting for Scientology. All of this human to human stuff has to do with only two things, and that's electricity and chemicals. There is nothing else that you can manipulate. That's the whole brain. So every technique is either electrically based or chemically based, which leads us to the secret fifth law, according to Chase Hughes, of human behavior. And that is every human being is a drug addict. Everyone you meet is a drug addict. And if you're able to spot the needs, then you're able to, it's just like going to Walgreens and figuring out what prescriptions that person is on. We're just figuring out what drug. So now, when would we compliment someone on their needs or say something that fulfills their needs? In this moment, typically in our more advanced persuasion classes, we get a lot further into this. But I'm going to fill that person with chemicals every time. We're conditioning that person with some kind of a Pavlovian technique or a Skinner technique. Every time they show openness, vulnerability, connection, excitement, focus, all of those 6 pillars, or all of those 6 factors of influence, I'm going to reward it by giving them a chemical injection into their bloodstream. And over time, their brain says, every time I act this way in this conversation, I'm getting a chemical reward. So not only can we manufacture all these chemicals, we also know the secret fears of this person, why they won't buy, why they will buy, the reason they won't confess, or the reason they won't behave a certain way. And if there's one thing I'm an expert at doing, it's talking somebody into doing something that might not be in their best interest, like confessing to a crime. And this is the fastest way to do it. Human needs, big deal. Everybody's a drug addict.